back to the Pink Pill Podcast. I'm Haley.
I'm Yaneli. And today we are going to be talking about a few controversial topics. We thought that in light of the inauguration being Monday, or just passing this past Monday, we thought we would just, kind of get into it.
Yeah, share some key moments.
I definitely have a lot of opinions to share, as I would hope most people do. I don't even really know where to start. I guess we can just start with the lead up.
Yeah, the lead up to the inauguration.
Yeah.
His trial, Donald Trump's trial was literally 10 days?
Yes.
Before the inauguration, which kind of had everybody questioning on whether or not. I wasn't really questioning personally because I think we all knew how it was going to turn out in the end, that there's no repercussions and consequences to the rich.
Exactly.
For the most part.
Exactly. And I definitely feel like after 32 convictions? After 32 convicted felonies, I'm not really positive if they're all felonies, but after 32, I just feel like we wouldn't.
I mean, we impeached the man.
He was even impeached, but
and we put him back in.
But he went around the system, and I just feel like, when Richard Nixon did Watergate, people wasn't playing about that.
No, people were not playing about
that. That shit was very serious. He got impeached. He never ran again. He was hated by the country. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's just, for me, it's just interesting because, the difference between the two, I want to say, is that Richard Nixon was pushing his own agenda, and that pissed people off, but Donald Trump isn't pushing his own agenda. I firmly believe he's pushing a white supremacist agenda.
Yeah, it's definitely an agenda for a group of people who are rich and not of color.
Yeah, and I feel like during the inauguration, I feel like we saw a lot of different things that, in my opinion, fully supports that assessment. That is just a lot of white supremacy going on, a lot of fascism going on. We saw
I think a good example, the bishop talking. I mean,
I didn't want to just jump right in, but yeah, the bishop, she I don't remember her name right now, unfortunately, but the bishop, she spoke at one of Trump's inaugurational ceremonies. He had so many ceremonies the day of the inauguration. And she simply asked for mercy for immigrants, queer people, minorities. And I don't know if anybody saw his face, but he was very pissed that she even said that.
And especially a lot of people surrounding him, it was just kind of the fuck is this bitch talking about?
Yeah, Fox News even called it the deranged rantings of a lunatic. Yeah,
that's crazy. Lunatic being associated with having empathy for others is very funny. And especially if you're, in the church, I mean, it's a common practice of love thy neighbor. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying this as somebody who's not even religious. And so I think that no matter what you believe, you should always love everybody around you and treat everybody with respect, because that's human decency.
That's human decency. Right. And, I'm not a churchgoer, but I am religious, and I just feel pardon the dog, she's a little chatty, she wants to join in, but
she's a yapper. I
just feel like, Jesus was a Jew. Jesus was not white. Jesus was not a friend to the church. He wasn't. He was not a friend to the government. He would be everything Donald Trump's trying to get rid of. And so I just feel and he didn't put his hand on the Bible. Did you see that?
Yes, I wanted to bring that up too. Oh my God. I saw somebody defend that man on not putting his hand on the Bible, but he did it the first time.
When was the first time?
His first inauguration.
See, but this is his new inauguration.
Exactly. And I think honestly him just not putting his hand on the Bible is is it a tactic to make us think that he might be it's a fear mongering? I don't even fucking know anymore at this point. Or is he just that? Is he just that simply just him.
Right. I genuinely feel like it's difficult for people to kind of grasp what's going on right now because we don't really know the intentions or what's going on behind the scenes. But I do feel like he intentionally didn't put his hand on the Bible.
Oh, I think it was.
I feel like on some subconscious level, I think he knows what he's doing is wrong. And I think that's why he didn't do it. Because, like, he even mentioned during his inaugural speech how he had recently given his life to God. Didn't he say that? He was recently, like... No. He was talking about how Jesus chose to save his life the day of his attempted assassination because God wanted him to make America great again.
That stage-ass assassination.
Right. Shut the fuck up.
Let's be fucking real. The photo op. There was a fucking photo op. Like, what are we? Like...
I'm sorry. Like, I choose to believe that Donald Trump, he doesn't believe his own hype, that in a serious assassination situation, he would pose for a pig. I genuinely want to believe, like, in a real dangerous situation, he wouldn't have done that, you know? And so I do believe, like, believing that it was set up makes a little bit more sense.
I also feel like when you see it in the past of like dangers when there's like a president around or someone of that thing, I mean, y'all know the trend, get down, Mr. President! Like,
exactly.
They're gonna knock that man to the fucking floor, especially if there's one shot fired. You can never know if there's gonna be another, if there's another shooter. There's so many things that these, like, I would hope that these people are trained in who are protecting them would know all these things. And I feel like that is like kind of like commonality. They're not gonna let you take a fucking photo. I feel like their job is to protect the president, and if he's gonna put himself in danger, it's their job to stop him from doing that.
Right. And we're not saying that we think the assassinator like intentionally shot his ear and has like the most accurate aim in the world. But I do think like he might have been privy to what was happening, to his attempted assassination. I think he decided to still go through with his rally. And I think he thought that an attempted assassination would only increase his hype, which
it was a political play.
I genuinely think that.
I think that.
And the Trump administration is making a lot of political plays. They're not doing shit to improve the economy. They're not doing shit to improve your life as an American citizen. They're doing shit for political power.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's so important to make that separation, because when we're talking about Trump supporters, they tend to talk about his propaganda, which has to do with...
Girl, I was just about to bring up propaganda.
Exactly. Like, he's the propaganda machine, babe. Like, do we really think that Trump is going to do anything that he said he was going to do to improve America?
I mean, Ho was already knocking off things off of Project 25, which he had no affiliation with.
Actually, could you explain a little bit to the audience what that is? Because I don't even know, honestly.
Project 2025?
Yeah.
So, from what I know, this is like the base of my knowledge. I'm not a fucking political science, like, nerd or whatever. But,
Real.
I mean, this is just of my basic knowledge. Of that Project 2025 is just, it's an attack against its people. It's an attack against democracy. It's an attack against anybody who, just the people who build this country, like immigrants. I mean, America would be nothing without immigrants. Quite literally because the people who discovered America were immigrants.
Exactly.
So, I mean, we would be nothing without them. But pretty much, like, it ties in with demolishing, like, the public education system.
Wow.
Taking away, like, legal gay marriage. It goes into, like, intersex marriage, which some things is, like, very far-fetched. But, I mean, the more you go into something, like, it gets more lenient and lenient and lenient over the years.
Right.
And so it goes with allowing the third term thing and, like, wanting to approach with that, which they have started to make that move of letting there be a third term. I'm trying to think of what else. There is a pretty long list. I know that, like stuff like FOSFA.
They want to get rid of FAFSA? Oh my god.
Yeah, like any kind of... So FOSFA is like the Florida, like, I don't even... Like financial aid. It's the financial aid that you get when you want to go to school. Mm-hmm. And so they would be taking that away. So it pretty much is... It embellishes the rich and if you're in the lower class, if you're even middle class, like honestly lower and upper, like you're kind of fucked. Like it's
yeah, I don't. We need to, as a people, wake up and ask ourselves who's benefiting from what Trump's plans are for the future. And I genuinely believe, with my whole entire being, Donald Trump doesn't give a fuck about nobody. Like, he just wants to...
I don't think he cares about America and its people.
In the slightest.
It's about power. It's about greed.
It's about money. It's about money in his own pocket. Like, period.
Yeah. And it's funny because we're like, America is a business, and yeah. Like, we make the fucking business. We are the business, number one. Number two, you want to talk about economy this and business that. Can we talk about how many failed businesses Donald Trump has? The steak, some yucky ass, expensive ass steak company. He's owned an airline which fucking airplane fucking flew apart and had to get fucking shut down.
Oh my god.
Like, he had like a credit card company that got fucking... Yeah, there's so many failed companies of it. He's made so many companies that it looks like he's a good businessman, but in reality there's just so many, so the ones that fail don't make it, and the ones that just so happen to succeed do. Like, the man's not a good businessman.
And you know,
he's running off of luck. It's gambling.
Yeah. And you know what type of businessmen have that type of leeway to just buy an airport, buy a credit card company? Ultra rich, generational wealth, white wealth. Like, I really feel very like strongly about this. What we're seeing is the pinnacle of white privilege, of like in the sense of white financial privilege, white what's the word I'm looking for? Opportunistic privilege. I feel like you definitely will see that in certain circumstances, especially in the ultra rich circles, a white man will be given an opportunity much more often than a black man.
Yeah.
Actually, the only person of color during the inauguration, like in the like first couple of rows, was the damn CEO of Google. The CEO of Google, and that man's not even.
And then you had Obama, but he was a fucking president.
Right, but Obama didn't even stand up. Like, he's not part of anything in Trump's administration. We don't see any people of color in Trump's administration.
Yeah. Did you see that they had someone who, like, is deaf, had, like, read Obama's lips during the inauguration? He said to Clinton, like, Bill, how do we stop this? Like, she read his lips, and Obama said to Bill Clinton, how do we stop this?
And he's right. He's right to be asking that. Did you guys see the white supremacists arriving to Washington, D.C.? It was an incredibly... Have you seen that video?
So, no, I did not watch it. I literally just heard when you and my mom were talking about it.
Yeah, it's an incredibly scary video. It's not something that I think should be taken lightly. And I feel like we need... Like, if you aren't at this point sure of the fascist regime that Donald Trump is building, it's because you agree with it. It's because you're a fascist.
Sorry to say it.
Yeah, I feel like in the first 4 years it wasn't this deep. Like, yes, we could see the embers of hate, you know.
Yeah, and
coming back
watching
up.
Like 2016, like it honestly is like it for me, like, it wasn't that deep yet. Like, yeah, you could see it, and it's like, you know, you can have your opinions, and you know what, I won't be mad about it. But now it's gotten to the point where it's past economics. Politics should be about mostly economics and helping the people, and that's about it. And that's what it's been for years. But now we're getting to a point where politics has turned into like a war zone between its people.
And that's not, and the thing is like the government genuinely wants you to believe that there's some type of division between Republicans and Democrats. And the fight we're seeing, the division we're seeing, is people being split over traditional values. I'm going to tell you something. Yeah. If you don't want to have an abortion, don't fucking have an abortion, okay? I'm okay if you believe that abortion is murder. I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is forcing your religious beliefs on the other people.
Do what you want with your own body. It's your body, your choice, bitch. So worry about your own business. Fuck.
and I also feel like, although I'm not somebody that can agree with, like, I feel like being gay and gay marriage is a beautiful thing, and I don't think it is anybody's business. But if you don't believe in that, whatever, you're entitled to your own opinion, but don't, again, force your religion onto people. What we're experiencing right now is almost a religious oppression, not of the religious people, of the non-religious people.
Yeah.
I don't want to live in a country where I have to pray at school.
Yeah.
I don't want to pray at school. I don't want to pray.
I think the one thing that, even growing up, like, I really loved our country for the longest time, and I think the reason why I did is because this is a country where, and you don't see this in a lot of places, where it's so diverse. You get so many people from so many different places, and I feel like diversity allows us to grow, like, because there's so many different types of people, and, like, depending on your culture, your heritage, it does have an impact, like, psychologically on who you are as a person. I'm currently actually learning that in class right now.
Yeah, and I'm showing Haley the video of all the white supremacists arriving to Washington, D.C. If you haven't seen the video, I highly recommend it.
We'll put it in the description too.
Yeah, it is a horde. The biggest group of neo-Nazis to organize that I've seen since the protest in Virginia 2016, where a woman was hit by a truck driving through the protests of the opposing side. It's a very scary time, and I genuinely believe conversations need to be continuously held.
The way that had to have been reposted, and there's not a lot of likes on the video. Even it's just
I had this video saved on TikTok. I know I had this video saved on TikTok. I couldn't find it anymore.
Wow, that is honestly so. That, like, there's so fucking many.
There's so many.
Like, it just kept going. Like,
there was like hundreds of people, like, arriving, and they were wearing a white shiesty. They were wearing a blue bomb, like, windbreaker, and then khakis. They were in uniform.
That's sick. Like,
it is sickening.
It is
sickening. It's sickening, and I really, just as a quick tangent, check in on your family. Check in on your friends,
It's a hard time for a lot of people. It's a really scary time.
And I think, honestly, Donald Trump is taking advantage of a lot of very sick people because, religious psychosis is a real thing.
Oh, 100. And I think that plays into this so well.
So deeply.
Yeah.
People are being preyed upon. People are being taken advantage of.
I actually, I kid you not, like, I really wish I was making this up, and I'm also going to try everything that we reference. I'm going to try and put in the description. For the most part, if I can find it. Some things do get deleted and they get erased because that's what they want to do. But I saw this video of, it was two women, and they were on the, like, little, like, preacher, like, pedestal. I don't remember the exact name for it, but the little, like, stand. And it was obviously like a stage, and they had, like, a book, which I'm assuming to be a Bible. I don't know which Bible. I don't know which Testament. I don't fucking know. But I'm assuming that, because all of a sudden, they start praying. They are wearing MAGA hats, and they are not praying to God. They are praying to Trump. Like, praying with and there's people in the crowd.
Oh my God.
It is, something could be staged. You never know. But just going off the basis of just what I saw, like, that's...
I believe it.
I believe it 100%. The man created a Bible, like, and we could really get into, like, the religious aspect of it, how everything, like sins, but some people don't really, like, believe in that, so, like, a sin to them is just, like, a wrongdoing.
Right.
Of, like, some things can be, like, for example, a sin being, like, you're not allowed to idolize another god, that doesn't apply to everybody, but I just think the fact of just praying to him as someone not in that religious aspect is just scary.
Yeah, and even if some people feel like it's not, like, a sin or whatever, if you believe in God, it's right there. It's one of the 10 Commandments.
And even if you don't, it's, to you, it just looks fucking crazy.
Right. Why would you pray to a man? What is he going to do for you?
A living man.
They genuinely, people...
Email him.
Right. He's your fucking president. Give him a call, bitch. Why
What
do
are
we pray?
you doing? Why are we praying? You think he's hearing you?
But I mean, I haven't heard of people praying to Trump, but I have heard people say he's Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I've heard people say he's the second coming of Christ. That this is him coming down. He's weeding out all like the sinners and whatnot. Which the sinners are fucking immigrants and gays. Let's be fucking real.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Let's be real.
These immigrants probably believe better than you do, and that's the truth.
Oh, 100%.
And I just feel like it's important to, like, in expanding this topic, it's important to talk about the religious indoctrination that many people are going through social media.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, have you heard about have you heard about QAnon?
What about it?
Like, just what it is, how it started, where it came from.
So, I've heard a little bit about it, but definitely go into detail also for people who don't know.
QAnon started off as a chat board, a forum on 8chan, where, and I'm not making this up, this is real.
I haven't heard that name in a while.
On Sundays, this happened like during his first term. On every Sunday, somebody would make a post on the 4chan, talking about future plans for the country, talking about certain crimes happening to push the agenda, and on the day before January 6th, literally, I can't make this up, the day before January 6th, they made one last post, and it said that there would be a storm coming, and that it would shake the world, and that it would be Jesus' return. Yeah. And what happened was that the Capitol was stormed on January 6th, which maybe Trump didn't tell those people to go march on the Capitol, but they were already being prepared to do that.
Yeah. And even then, like, he also was almost like hyping these people up and not necessarily telling them to do something, but you could easily manipulate people and not have to say the exact words.
Exactly. He was talking about, like, fighting for your country.
Yes,
and
like,
shit.
if he wins, like,
about?
you take control of what you believe in, like, it's just all insinuations.
Yeah. And it's crazy because the QAnon, like, forum is what started the religious indoctrination. Like we were talking about earlier, a lot of people are gripped by the MAGA lifestyle. They absolutely lose their life to a family.
Like, it's like a code that they follow. Like, they're like fucking like Mandalorians or some shit, and they just live by this code, and it's
Right.
Whoa.
If anybody wants to get to know a little bit more about QAnon, about its effect on people, what it looks like today, there's actually a new documentary out by Andrew Callahan on Channel 5 News called Dear Kelly. Just really quickly, it follows the life of a protester. He is a white man. He is a Republican, and he believes in Trump and that he is Jesus. And he goes to every single Republican rally in the United States. And so Andrew Callahan decides to follow him, follow his life, meet his family, and we just get the full story of a man who has dedicated his life to Donald Trump.
Wow.
It's a very
I can imagine
doc.
I can imagine it's scary, and I can also imagine seeing their family's perspective and how
his
sad.
Yeah, his family feel like they lost him completely, and that's what we're here to, like, almost say, like, what's happening is mass manipulation, and the only people who are not being, like, toyed with, manipulated with, whose lives aren't being affected by what Donald Trump is saying is the people who are next to him in power affecting us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because why would they be worried?
No, every single person, every single American should be absolutely terrified.
Whether or not you're a Democrat, whether or not you are Republican.
Whether you're black, white, brown, whatever you are, like, we should all be worried.
Like, if you say you love your country so much, you're voting for a threat on democracy, which is what our country was built upon.
Right.
Like, the seeding of our Constitution, like, it is an attack of what we were made in the whole beginning. Like, I know Alexander Hamilton did not write fucking, 52 fucking amendments for y'all to do this shit. He worked his back into that shit just for y'all to betray the Constitution.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I definitely, especially with the Constitution of like and when we got into propaganda, like shit is getting so like real because one, the Constitution page is not there anymore.
Yeah, in Spanish too.
Any Spanish government like gone.
Yeah,
gone. The women's reproductive like federal government site like for women's reproductive rights gone. Like there's so much shit that's just like getting taken down, and it's slowly, especially if you like someone like me who has dug deep into how North Korea turned into a dictatorship and how Kim Jong-un and his father and his brother highly impacted, like honestly, like they should make the definition for propaganda because that's all they did.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, look how close Donald Trump is with Kim Jong-un. He's taking his literal lead.
Yes. And I can't remember. I think it was Kim Jong like Sim. Or I cannot remember Kim Jong-un's dad's name, but his dad
Kim Jong-un, Kim Jong-un, I think.
Yeah, something like that. His dad. So pretty much what they would do, the main way they took honestly a lot of like people's perspective and kind of took control of the country was through propaganda. Was through entertainment. Entertainment was their like big way of manipulating them. So number one, Kim Jong-un also his father made their own religion, which pretty much set in stone that it's more of a dynasty and a dictatorship that when I die, it's going to go to one of my sons, it's going to be passed down, which they made this religion so that their family would stay in power pretty much. Mm-hmm. And then also any of their like movies and stuff, they never could actually like put someone to portray, Kim's dad as like anything, like was not allowed to be portrayed. What they had to do, anytime the son was shown in a movie, that was represented by, like, that was Kim. So what they would do, they would show the son at the end of the movies, and so pretty much they would relay the message that he was like God.
Yes.
So they pretty much dug into this like agenda of like making him seem like he was like immortal and really powerful. And that wasn't of this world. Like, he's not like you. Like, he is above you.
They have North Koreans praying to Kim Jong-un and Kim Jong-il.
Yeah.
So, like
they made their whole religion, and they used entertainment to do that in the propaganda. Like, whenever there was a movie that they didn't like and they didn't want the public to see, that there was a movie that was banned in North Korea that had pretty much it was a movie about a North Korean and a South Korean love story.
Oh, wow.
And so in the movie, the girl gets out of North Korea and goes to see the person in South Korea to convince them to come to North Korea. But they didn't like the fact that she had even left North Korea, so they banned the movie.
Wow.
And because they didn't want their people getting the idea of that they can leave. And even when they would show, like, for the longest time, they wouldn't show other countries and just stuff like that. The propaganda, it's looking like that, is my point.
Yeah. And I don't think we're going to see, like, the absolute travesty that's going on in North Korea here in America, especially because of how small and new North Korea is compared to the United States.
Yeah.
But we should be looking at other fascist countries, like, to see what's going to happen.
There's a lot of
future.
similarities, especially, like, with the beginning of Nazi Germany. Like, there is parallels, and, like,
they're there.
There's
like, obviously
history
there.
will rewrite itself and will repeat, and people don't fucking say that for no reason. They're not just pulling it out of their ass and just saying, hey, history will repeat itself. It's a fucking saying for a reason. And it does. And time again, it will.
Yeah. And I feel like, you know, they're not scared to hide it anymore. Just look at Elon Musk.
Exactly. And along with the propaganda for that, have you seen how this is so fucking funny to me. So obviously, I feel like me and you can both agree upon that was a salute.
That was a Sig Heil.
Yeah. 100%.
There's no doubt in my mind.
No doubt in my mind either. But they will put, like, a picture, like a freeze frame picture of AOC, Kamala Harris, like like kind of like header for like the liberal or Democratic Party or like whatever, anybody on the left side, and they'll show them like they're like, oh, they're like hyped about something, and they'll do that. But then they're like, oh, you see, they're not mad about that.
What he did was he put his hand on his heart, and he put his hand up, and he did this.
Yeah.
He did that. He did this. What we've seen from other people, and I don't know if you've seen other videos, Neo-Nazis have changed the salute just the littlest bit to go like that instead of that. Sorry, just giving
they
an
put
example.
it. I actually saw a video where they put a side by side.
I did too.
You saw that video
I saw that video too.
Yeah.
Stop lying to the public. Stop lying to the people. Fucking politicians.
Yes.
We're not fucking stupid like you really think that we are. We're not. We're not.
No, bro.
And what they're trying to have happen in this government is not going to happen. I'm sorry. Like what these people think they're going to do to our country is not going to happen. In the time before when there was slavery, people didn't have rights. The people didn't have guns.
There were still people waiting to get their rights. It was a very different time frame than we live on now. But also when it comes to like fighting back, I feel like the party that will fight back is the party that's winning. And I feel like us as a whole, I feel like a lot of us are very empathetic. And a lot of us are scared to fight, especially against a bunch of people that we think are crazy in our opinion.
I'm not scared to fight.
But that have like a whole lot of guns and they're a bunch of Nazis. Like
we have guns too.
That is true.
I feel very strongly that a revolution is on the rise. I don't believe that we're gonna be taking this lying down. And I am not trying to incite any type of like action.
Yeah, no.
But what I am saying is that in the Constitution itself, it says that if our government or if this form of government comes to oppress the people, burn that shit down and rebuild it. It
is literally our constitutional right and duty to be able to do that. And if we see that there's a threat to our democracy and a threat to our people, then it's our duty to make sure as a whole, not just Democrats, not just Republicans, not just a third party, just people, not parties, as people.
We need to let go of all that.
Oh, I agree. George Washington
shit.
even said like the two-party system was a really bad idea.
Yeah, it was. Like we at least need a third or some type of like
some middle ground, because you have your libertarian parties and you have that, but you're never going to see, no matter how much you guys want, you're never going to see a libertarian president.
That's true.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
I mean, no matter how much you want it to, there's never going to be like a third party president.
Yeah.
Like, and that's just how it is. But I think like it's just we shouldn't have never had to label ourselves. I feel like things would be so much better if we just went as people and as a whole, and not as like, oh, I'm this and you're that. Let's pit each other against. It's just pitting people against each other.
I suppose that's true, but it is important to remember that even though we can all get along, there are people who are the complete opposite of you.
Oh yeah, 100%. And there's assholes out there, and there's dicks, and But
I don't even mean like people who are like shitty. I mean like people who are like just decent people who will never agree with you on anything. You know what I'm saying? And I feel
that's okay though.
I feel like that is okay, and I feel like we do need some type of system that helps politicians represent the interest of groups of people, but right now, like, that's not what's happening. And I do feel very strongly about reforming the government, especially because, as a Hispanic, I see mass deportations happening right now, and that's very, very, very saddening to me.
Yeah.
I don't believe that the majority of the country wants immigrants deported. I don't think that. I think it's 60-40. I think 60% want them to stay. I think 40% want them to go. And I think the 40%, unfortunately, are just wealthier and have more influence.
Yeah.
The Jews were the scapegoat in Germany in 1950, and now it's the immigrants and it's queer people. And it's just very scary to see. I don't think there is anybody to blame for the economic downturn, especially because, like, if we're using common sense, if we're using all 5 senses, if we're using our full brain capacity like God intended, then we would have obviously known that the reason the economy is shit is because of COVID.
I mean, we did shut down.
We shut down for almost a year.
I mean, obviously our economy is gonna be fucked. I mean,
I can't even believe like people really just like forgot that shit existed. Literally, economists like during that time were saying it will take at least 10 years to bounce back from COVID if we ever do. You know, it's not immigrants' fault. Stop that stupid ass propaganda. Have some common sense.
For real, we were lucky enough to even be able to be where we are now because of COVID. I mean, in the past, you look at like what's called like these diseases pandemics that will happen with a widespread
disasters. My love.
What? So I'm getting too hyped. I can't even speak. Oh my god! But like stuff like the Black Plague, like shit like that. Even though times change, like you don't have as much things to help you out with. There's more people, more researchers and stuff like that. But I think we were lucky enough.
And very, very, very quick compared to every other pandemic that has happened before.
It was it's a very quick one. It was now like people can get COVID and it's like not. It's like I got COVID. It's like you just told me you had the fucking flu.
Right. You just go get a shot and you're good. Like
yeah, and I just think we were very fortunate enough. But even then, and just the fortune of where we are now. Obviously, there's going to be consequences to something like that. I mean, the fucking economy shuts down. Like, everyone's lives get put on hold.
The whole world, by the way.
The whole world. So it's not just America. And America is honestly helped out by other countries as we help other countries out as well when it comes to business, trade, like everything like that. It just ties them together. So even if we didn't have, say if America wasn't affected by the pandemic and every other country was, we would still be in shit. Yeah. We would still be in shit.
And I do recognize that the price of groceries, that the price of gas, that the minimum wage, it's just all thrown off. It's not good enough, but it's not as bad as it has been. There was the Great Depression in the early 1900s, late 18s.
Yeah, 2008 housing crisis.
Yeah, the 2008 housing crisis. We're not that bad off. Actually, literally, Biden reduced inflation by 2%.
Yeah, I was actually about to say, compared to things, I would probably say like around the beginning of Biden's term, everything was very like high. I feel like inflation was pretty high. But I feel like around his
because of Trump's tax code, by the way.
Because of his tax policy, not Biden's. But I feel like within the last, like, especially maybe like year and a half, like 2 years of his term, you could see kind of like the deflation of it.
Yeah, it was a slow deflation, but it was like almost like a calm. And something else that pisses me off, Haley.
Oh, she took the glasses off.
Is when people say, "Oh, I want Trump's economy back. Oh, I want Trump's gas prices back." We weren't even living! People weren't even getting gas. People weren't even filling their cars up. That's why the price of gas was low, because not as many people were buying the gas. Do we get it?
I just shit was cheaper.
I just feel like as a country, we need to put the phone down. We need to step back and we need to start practicing critical thinking again.
I don't even think we were under his tax policy.
Nothing that Trump has done. We weren't even under his tax policy. He put in his tax code after COVID happened. 2022. Are you serious?
Yeah, it's like mid his term.
Like...
And it's not going to take effect until after his terms are over. Hence, Biden's like, oh my God, everything's expensive.
I'm sorry, I said 2022. I meant like 2019. But like, still, like, I just feel like nothing that Trump has done has been revolutionary. Nothing at all.
The only thing that's revolutionary about it is giving a safe space for white supremacists.
Exactly. The only thing he did for the economy was be the president, because the economy was going to be low if there was enough consumerism, duh. He didn't cut taxes. He raised them for you, dumbasses.
Yeah, he gave the rich fucking tax cuts.
Yeah. And they now, with his next term, they got an even bigger tax cut. Yeah. An even bigger tax cut.
I saw an actor, a really famous actor, talk about, like, literally saying,
Ken from Barbie.
Yes, I'm glad.
Ken from Barbie.
Said, I don't even want the tax cut. I don't want it because I can well enough pay my full taxes. And so can all these other people.
Yes, they can.
But, what? You want more money, have your tax cut? So you have the most fucking money, but then the people who don't have that much money have to pay more.
Yeah, that doesn't even make sense.
It doesn't make fucking sense. All it does is just get the rich richer. That's
right.
all it does.
Like Jeff Bezos, we need to put it in context. Jeff Bezos, he's worth like $100 billion. So his taxes would be like 1 to 2 million, right?
Which I think is insane.
It's not even that bad.
That's
Do you understand the
like
gap?
Fucking throwing a fucking tin.
Yeah.
Like out the fucking window, and like
obviously $1 million is gonna hurt everybody, but in comparison to a billion, like $1 million and $1 billion is like two different things. Two very, very far. We're like, closer to being millionaires than millionaires are to be billionaires. Like,
yeah, no, like it's insane. Like $1 million is really chump change to these people.
Yeah, and it might hurt them, but nobody gives a fuck. Like
they have all these businesses and make so much fucking money that they're gonna make back.
They're gonna make it back
money within the year probably.
And I just feel like, you know, like we've seen, like on the topic of business, we've seen ethical businesses absolutely thrive. Unlike Amazon, who forces their fucking drivers to piss in bottles and throw them out on the side of the road. And this is real. This isn't like a conspiracy. This is exactly what happens. Talk to an Amazon driver. That person will tell you they piss in a bottle. Like, it's not a joke. It's not a game. These people piss in bottles. And instead of giving them a little bit more leeway, instead of giving them bathroom breaks, they're not even allowed to have bathroom breaks on their drive. Like, I'm being dead ass. And if they catch you with a bottle of piss, you're fired. Are you serious? But Costco pays their workers $23 an hour. Mind you, Amazon drivers make about $21 to $24. Costco's starting pay is $23 an hour. You get 3 breaks. And Costco refused to get rid of their anti-discriminatory policies for hiring.
Because how do we justify that again? How do we justify getting rid of that? What do you remember the exact name?
Affirmative action?
Yeah. Okay, that's what I was wondering. Because what is a good reasoning for that? Like, what do you say to justify that to be they're not allowed to fire you because of your skin color or because of your gender or because of your sexuality, and we're not going to protect you about it no more. So what, like, in what world can you justify that without being a fucking...
It's because these people think that affirmative action, which I apologize, affirmative action is actually about having certain percentages of diversity that every college has to meet. And then we have anti-discriminatory hiring laws. Those laws are put into place to consider somebody's race, to make sure that there's not just white people. The anti-discriminatory laws are literally put in place to prevent color washing. Do you know what that is?
I do.
Yeah, for those who don't know, like that, color washing is the practice of not seeing color. Which in a perfect world sounds great, but what it actually means in practice, what it actually means when your boss it has secret racial biases, is that if there's a white candidate and there's a black candidate, they're always going to choose the white candidate. That's exactly what it is. And we're protecting black people, we're protecting women, we're protecting people of color in general from being the second choice every time to a white person. And I'm sorry if that makes you mad as a white person, but you have a lot of opportunities. You have more chances of being picked. And if that wasn't true, there wouldn't have been a law put in place to prevent it.
Exactly. And it wouldn't even be it wouldn't be a conversation.
Exactly. It was literally put in place because after segregation, they still wouldn't hire black people. Like, this isn't a fake. This is not dead. It's not in the past. It's happening right now. If those laws weren't in place, people wouldn't be hiring black people. They wouldn't be hiring women. They wouldn't be hiring immigrants. Nothing. No,
racism is still just as alive and well. It's just presented a lot differently than what it was.
Exactly.
In the past, I mean, you had slavery. I mean, that shit got deep. And that's a whole nother topic.
Right, and people think that racism ended when slavery ended, when y'all need to be serious.
Let's be real about it. Let's be real.
Y'all are lying if you genuinely believe that. That's some foolishness. That's some crap. I'm not gonna lie.
Honestly, the same thing about if you say white privilege isn't real. That's kind of crazy.
Exactly. Like, there's literally, like, there's de facto laws, which are, there's de facto and de jure laws. De jure laws are very plain. They're not implied, they're explicitly said. Then there's de facto laws, which are implied. There's so many laws that imply combating white privilege. And if you don't believe that, then unfortunately you're not educated. And I'm not trying to call you stupid, but I am saying there's proof, and let's talk about it. One law, we just talked about it. The anti-discriminatory hiring law is literally put in place to combat white privilege. This country is built off of eugenics. It's built off of scientific rhetoric, which it's not real science, period. But fake scientific rhetoric that the white race is somewhat superior to people of color, and that's not true. And we need to be honest about our history, because if we remember our history, then we can keep it from happening all over again. Next thing you know, they're going to say that immigrants, no, they already say it. They say that immigrants are savages. They say that they bring drugs. They rape people. Donald Trump said it during his first.
Sorry. Ignore us. It's okay.
Okay. He literally mentioned that during his first campaign back in 2016. He literally said verbatim, Mexicans are bringing drugs and they're rapists. And I just feel like if that wasn't a present idea in that white culture, then it wouldn't be something that's being spread so widely. And it's not true. It's not true. I actually want to touch upon a recent crime of a woman named Laken Riley. She was a medical student living in Georgia, I believe, and she was murdered by a Venezuelan man. This story has absolutely caught fire in the Hispanic community, amongst politicians, amongst Republicans, amongst Democrats. And they call immigrants dangerous and criminals and rapists. But when we look at the scientific evidence, immigrants commit less crime, like on a mass scale, than Americans do. Yeah. Like, we don't.
They even start referring to immigrants, like, there's, like, especially the people who are really just, like, bigoted. They'll go, like, we need to get these criminals out of here, just grouping.
He called us aliens. Donald Trump literally called us aliens during his inauguration. He said we're going to get rid of these violent, trespassing aliens. And unfortunately, that's not what we are, babe. Like, the apples you eat, the bananas you eat. 60% of produce is picked by underpaid, undocumented immigrants.
Your houses that are built for you, your mansions that you live in. Who builds that?
Right, immigrants, bro. And I just feel like we need to step out of our own biases. We need to Republicans, not even just Republicans, MAGA people love to preach facts over feelings, but in reality, these people, they're not in the facts. They're in their own feelings. You need to step out of your feelings.
They love to say that about us.
Right. You need to step out of your own biases, and you need to look at what the truth is. And the truth is, scientifically, statistically, immigrants aren't committing as many crimes as y'all want to blame on them. And that's the
especially truth. when the fires happened, the LA fires that had just recently been going on. There was a ton of lootings that were happening. But one of the ones that I saw that were broadcast and almost like propagandized on were the immigrants and the people who were of color that were looting these houses. This isn't a new thing.
Right.
This isn't new. This isn't like, if there was like, I bet you $1 million, there was probably a white person in there, but you're not going to hear or see about that. You're going to hear about the immigrants who are stealing stuff during the fires and then kind of want to like maybe immigrants started it and immigrants wanted to do this and that.
Yes, and I've been hearing that theory that an immigrant started the fire. Babe, that's fake. That's not real. And
exactly. It's again with the propaganda.
Immigrants are breaking into burnt down houses. Let's kind of step back. Let's look at the context. The majority of people in that area are Hispanic. Okay. The area is gentrified, which means there is an area pushed to one side of the county where a majority of white people, a majority of rich people live. And then there's a part of the county where a majority of Black and Hispanic people live. So if there's majority Black and Hispanic people in that area, the majority of the looters are going to be Black and Hispanic. And if this white area was, burned down, the majority of people in that area would probably be white looting these houses. Exactly. But even more context is that if this area is wealthier than this area, less people are going to feel a need to break in and take anything.
Oh, yeah. Like, there's a reason. They're not just doing it because they're immigrants and illegal or whatever the fuck you want to say. They're doing it because the housing situation they're in,
people are homeless.
Exactly. People are homeless. People are struggling.
They probably just feel like, you know what? I'm homeless. I don't have a backup plan. These people probably do.
They're going to lose this shit anyways. Let me sell this microwave. Exactly. I mean, I think I'm a pretty good person, but like, I mean, if a house was on fire and there was a fucking Louis Vuitton bag sitting in the front,
getting it.
Let me grab that shit
first. Because you know damn well if you left your Louis Vuitton purse in the fire, you didn't even need it like that anyways, baby. I do.
You didn't even need it.
What?
Oh my God, it's insane.
And even in this topic, I really feel like, kind of going back to the Venezuelan immigrant, we need to continue to be educated, continue to understand context.
Oh yeah.
The influx of immigration, like, coming into this country, is a real thing, and it's a necessity. Like, I know a lot of people didn't like Joe Biden because he started the Joe Biden program. I don't know if you've heard about that.
I heard a little bit on it, but I never delved too deep into it actually.
So the Joe Biden program was a program he started for refugees. If you know about what's going on in the world, you know that Cuba, you know that Venezuela, you know that Haiti, you know that Congo, all of these areas and even more, they're going through extreme poverty. They're going through extreme governmental oppression, and these people are dying in mass. So he approved of 100,000 immigrants coming from these countries, like maybe just Haiti, Venezuela, and Cuba. I think just those three. But he approved of 100,000 people to come to America. And they would get food stamps, and they would get cash assistance, and they could get a phone. Which, if you're an American and you are struggling financially, you can get that same benefit too. It's not just immigrants.
Yeah, like,
you can go
apply for food stamps.
You can go and apply for a phone. You can go and apply for cash. You can go apply for food stamps. It's not just them. Okay,
yeah.
But a lot of people felt upset because they think that they're using citizens' taxes to pay for immigrants to come and live off their taxes, when the reality is $90 million of taxes from 2023 or 2022 was paid by immigrants, undocumented immigrants. Just because people are undocumented in this country doesn't mean they're not following the rules. It doesn't mean they're not assimilating to capitalism. It doesn't mean they're not paying taxes. These immigrants, these Haitians, these Venezuelans who are coming in, they're going to pay taxes. They are not going to live long term off of these government assistances, especially now that Trump is the president. Like, we need to have common sense. Like, especially with the woman Laken Riley, may she rest in peace, and the Venezuelan coming in right now. There's literally gang wars happening in Venezuela. The country is being absolutely overrun by violence. So I'm not saying that every immigrant that comes in is violent, but right now, in this context of what's going on with Venezuela, a lot of people are scared. They have become accustomed to that violence, and what happened with Laken Riley is really sad, but we don't know if that man was in a gang. We don't know if he was a thug. More importantly, immigrants who are coming in are not being released from mental asylums. They're not being released from prison. You have to go through a vetting process to even be allowed to be on the Joe Biden program and brought into the United States. So just stop.
And most immigrants do love this country and support the country more than most Americans do.
Exactly. Thank you. I'm sorry.
But you got hyped for that one.
It's crazy because these people come and they love America.
They do.
Literally in Honduras, when my family lived in Honduras, they didn't shower with warm water. There's no showering with warm water. There's no flushing the toilet. You shit in a bucket. You shit in a hole. And then you get a little bit of water, you wash the bucket out, and you keep thugging. There's no AC. The houses are cold because they're made out of stone.
Yeah, I was about to say concrete, and the drains on your floors.
Right, When they come to America, babe, it's like living the dream. Like I had an aunt who recently came to America, and we have the main house and then we have an RV, right? Now this RV, she's super old, nobody uses it anymore. It's just there for like chilling purposes. She literally feels like she's living in a mansion in the damn RV. Like, because that's how bad the situation is in other countries compared to the United States. And you know what? The United States caused that. And they should be taking accountability for the destruction of these countries. And I think Joe Biden was doing an absolutely amazing job of taking accountability for the colonizations that America has done.
Yeah, and an immigrant like coming over and say even if like they didn't live in a house, just the environment, and we're becoming
just being free is crazy.
Just not like we're it's not that safe of a country, but let's compare us to most places. We are pretty damn fucking safe and lucky.
Honduras is the femicide capital of the world. What does that mean? The country's so dangerous, it's the number one place where women get murdered like crazy. And that's the truth. Nobody wants to live there. There is no real government. There's no real rules. The police ain't the police. If you pay them, they'll leave. Like,
yeah, and a lot of places like women can't go to church. Women can't go outside in the daylight. Women can't like
try to be a woman in Honduras. And you look up, you're getting punched in the face, like
and especially like the Middle East, especially like women can't become educated, they can't go to schools, they're not even allowed to go outside in the daytime.
Look what's happening in Afghanistan. No, I think it is Afghanistan or like no, that's something else. Afghanistan, Iraq, one of those, I'm sorry. But the Taliban has taken its grip so tightly over these countries, women can't leave the house anymore.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I was referring to, is the way they're taking control. Like, we are very lucky. And so when these immigrants come over, it is not to hurt us. If anything, it's for them to finally be able to live their lives.
Right, and I promise you, they're going to make America better. They're not here to take it away from anybody. They're not here to make it their own. They're here to assimilate and become American.
And if they so happen to murder somebody or kill somebody or whatever, guess what? People are people and killers exist.
Right, and let me ask y'all something. If the man who murdered Laken Riley was white, would that be on the news? If he was black, what political agenda would they be trying to push? Like, it
always.
Murder happens every day. And I know that might sound a little cold-hearted, but
it does.
People murder each other every single day, whether you're black, whether you're white, whether you're Hispanic, whether you're this, whether you're that. People be killing each other.
At the end of the day, we are people. It's not seeing us as a certain color. Like, people are people. Now, the person is a murderer. They're a murderer. Don't go spilling around, he's an immigrant, so all immigrants are murderers. No, he's a fucking person who it just so happens to be evil as fuck.
And hasty generalizations are one of the first logical fallacies that they teach you in college. So yeah, I just feel like, all in all, I feel that we've had a very good conversation today. I feel like I've touched on all the topics that I wanted to speak on. Is there anything else that you wanted to touch on?
There was something that you mentioned earlier that I wanted to say. Remember how you were talking about pretty much what our country was just built on, and that whole conversation. This is more kind of like a fun fact.
I'm okay with a little fun fact.
Did you know that Christopher Columbus was literally an idiot? Like, he was dumb. There was no intention of discovering America.
Really?
Oh, he actually, so initially his voyage was to go towards Asia.
Right, to find spice.
And so he was an idiot and didn't know how to follow compass or constellations or how the fuck you were doing it.
He just casually ran into us.
It was a complete mistake.
Right, he thought he was in India.
Yeah, he thought he was in India whenever he got here. And so it was a complete mistake that he had even landed upon America, which was like, I don't even know why he said discovered America, is because you're discovering from the perspective of your country. It was already discovered. There was already inhabitants.
There was already people there.
There was already people there. Like,
there was already culture. There was already some form of government. Like,
and like having like your communities and stuff like that, like different tribes and everything.
Right.
Like,
and just to like wrap it up a little bit and not end on a bitter note, but Native Americans only make up about 2 to 6% of the population now.
It's so sad. Like,
It's so
like,
sad.
I feel like, honestly, like, that could be a whole topic
It really could.
of just, like, bringing it to light about...
The travesties that have happened against Native Americans in this country has just been next level. You know, one could refer to it as a Holocaust, as a genocide.
It almost is like a genocide. I mean, they're eliminating, honestly,
And I really, really hope that that's not the future of immigrants and queer people in this country.
Yeah, 100%.
Because we are all people, and we are all connected through being alive, through...
Yeah, I definitely don't think we should see it as we're against anybody else. And I know this whole video was pretty much attacking our current president of the United States, but I feel like just as people, we should not be pit against each other.
No,
we should not be pit against each other. And I feel like everybody, and I'm going to say exactly what what that bishop lady said at the inauguration. I cannot remember her name at the moment, but feel free to go and look at the inauguration. Pretty much have empathy. Have empathy for the people who are scared. If you're watching this and you're one of those people who might not be worrying right now, worry for your neighbors. Have empathy for the people who are scared, and for good reason. If you don't want to admit that they're scared, then you should probably go to therapy and talk about your own problems.
Honestly, I feel like that's a great subject that I just want to touch on really lightly, really quick. I see a lot of people who, like, on social media and in real life, who have never touched on this subject ever, and I don't think that's right. I understand that people have, private agendas, private lives, private goals, but what's happening in this country right now is bigger than you, and I do feel like it's time to speak up. It's time to post at least something on your story. And I just feel like if you're not doing that, you're not a friend to the people who are being oppressed and persecuted in this country right now.
Rome didn't fall in a day.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I just think definitely just end off.
We need to hold space for the political situation in this country in our lives, even if it's not a big one. Just keeping the situation in mind, keeping in mind that there are injustices going around to the people, that are affecting the people around you, is enough. But please don't remain silent.
Yeah.
Please don't remain apathetic.
I say don't remain silent, but also don't speak in a way that you are acting just like the enemy. And don't stoop to that level, because then that just makes us look like more fools in their perspective.
Right, and the enemy is not the Republican Party.
No.
We just want to reiterate that.
Yeah, the enemy is not the Republican Party.
The enemy is not white people in general.
It's not, honestly, it really isn't even just Trump as a person.
No,
the enemy
it's fascism. The enemy is fascism. The enemy is callousness. The enemy is greed, and we need to rise up together, not in a wave of hate against those people, but in a way of love for those who are being persecuted and who are being the scapegoats for fascist, greedy agendas.
100%. I think you put that really well.
Thank you. So we're going to be leaving links in the description to, see, articles on what we were talking about, the videos, and I just hope that, after this video, you continue the rest of your day. Don't let politics ruin your day, but just keep in mind the people who are being affected the most by this political situation.
Yeah, because whether you want to admit it or not, there are people who are affected daily. But I think we did pretty good today.
All right, guys, thank you so much for coming to our channel. We post once a week, so just, you'll catch us in the next one.
Yes, like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.